Okay, well, hi everyone. Thank you so much for joining our first healthcare webinar of 2024. Before we get started, just want to make a few notes here. We love questions, so anytime you have a question come up from a discussion we're having, feel free to add those in the chat box below. A balmy 53 here in Vegas. That's nice. And then if for any reason you need to head out before this webinar is over, this is recorded and we will be distributing it afterwards. Okay, so before we officially get started, if anybody isn't familiar with who we are at TrackFive, we're basically a next generation recruitment marketing agency connecting you with top tier job seekers across several industries. With 15 plus years of experience and a strong focus on challenging sectors like travel, healthcare, and transportation, we basically offer tailored acquisition services to meet your needs. Our renowned industry-specific talent marketplaces demonstrate our commitment to empowering businesses and job seekers alike in the competitive job market. And by combining innovative strategies, industry-specific marketplaces, and a wealth of experience, here at TrackFive, we basically set ourselves apart as a trusted partner in the recruitment space. And if you have any questions about that, feel free to reach out to us afterwards. And in the meantime, I'd like to go ahead and introduce our panel here. Heather, would you like to start?
Sure. Thanks, Allison. So my name is Heather Jennings. I've been with GQR Global Markets for the past 3.5 years and have worked in staffing for almost 19. I am based in snowy Connecticut. So Chase, no, not the balmy 50-degree weather in Vegas, but a shout out to my fellow working parents navigating today's weather. I've held various roles in recruitment, operations, marketing, production training, account management, sales. Truly honored to have been recognized in the 2023 Global Power 150 Women in Staffing by SIA as well.
Great job, Heather.
Alongside, just super accomplished industry leaders. But my current role, I'm the global head of revenue technology for GQR. So I'm going to bring a tech and innovation-focused perspective to today's discussions.
Great, looking forward to it. Looks like Chase hopped off for a moment and Shawn is still logging on. So Janelle, if you wouldn't mind going next.
Absolutely. Continuing on. I'm privileged to be able to follow with Heather in that one, with the footsteps on that, just because I love the different roles and things that you're focusing on. So hello everyone. Happy Tuesday. My name is Janelle. I'm with Premier Medical Staffing Services, national healthcare staffing based in, I wish I could say balmy Wisconsin, but you know, we're working on it, getting it up there. I have been with Premier for almost a decade, leading their marketing operations. That also under my umbrella is the tech stack as well. Other than that, besides Premier, I have about 20 years of marketing experience in various industries, B2B, B2C, I insert any acronym, that type of thing. So I've been in there, you know, especially in marketing. Someone heard marketing, usually people think of, you can help me with your PowerPoint or Excel. So I've been down that path, and then very excited to be where I am today, just being able to work with the team of my MarTech team and then also the team at Premier, just seeing all different things. So hopefully being able today to provide ideas, insight, answer questions regarding whether it is that technology piece, the AI piece, just overall trends, or even there, just have a good time and a nice break from your Tuesday.
Fantastic. Chase, we're still waiting for Shawn. I know that one of my team members here is sending him an updated link, so he should be on in a minute. But if you wouldn't mind going next.
Sure, not at all. I'm Chase Johnson. I'm an interactive marketing manager here at CHG Healthcare. If you're not familiar with CHG, we are a parent company to Comp Health, Weatherby Healthcare, RN Network, Global Medical Staffing, a handful of other brands. But Comp Health and Weatherby collectively are the largest temporary physician staffing companies in the U.S. And I've been with CHG for 13 years, and wow. I oversee basically our relationship with Indeed, LinkedIn, ZipRecruiter, a handful of general job websites. So yeah, that's me.
Great. All right, well, when Shawn pops in, we will have him give his introduction, but we'll go ahead and get started just for the sake of time. So the first question we want to talk on, I know that everyone here will probably have some input on, so I'm looking forward to hear what you all have to say. But the first thing we want to talk about is AI and how you guys believe the use of AI has and will enhance our recruitment efforts. What perhaps are some of the advantages, and then possibly some disadvantages as well. So Heather, why don't we start with you on this one?
Sure. Alison, I think AI's impact on recruitment, it really varies depending on what the organization's approach is, right? So, at GQR, we're actively testing an AI assistant to generate submittal write-ups and candidate scores within seconds. Really a significant time savings compared to typing them all up manually. It's important to note our strategy really involves that technology-enabled recruitment, not a complete tech replacement. Recruiters remain essential, really contributing intangibles and making necessary edits before sending submittals through to account managers or clients. We've also optimized our lead distribution with AI, which removes delays and bottlenecks. So since implementing these changes, we've actually observed a 4x increase in our conversion. So,
wow.
To answer your question, Allison, yes, AI has enhanced our recruitment efforts at GQR, but I think we've only really begun to scratch the surface with what it really can do.
Wow. Do you think let's just retouch on it, but do you think there are any disadvantages that you want to mention?
Well, maybe just to take a step back, because I was just kind of giving an overview, I guess, on, how it's enhanced, but maybe to start with maybe just a higher level view of advantages. I think, really leveraging the generative AI, right, for increased efficiency. And I think a lot of people really tend to overthink this. And when we think about how generative AI works, it's just, productivity, it means taking somebody who knows what they're doing and just enabling them to do what they do quicker, more efficiently, and with more options. So the time saved from AI streamlining tasks also, I think, allows recruiters to focus more strategically and win, more business. I think Gen AI, really presents an exciting opportunity, earmuffs, Chase, particularly for the smaller companies, as it levels that playing field, right, by providing equal access to resources. And I think we're going to see some of the smaller players even, kind of leapfrog the medium-sized, and I do think there's the potential, mid-sized, even possibly surpass large players by really leveraging that adaptability and capabilities to act in response to, the emerging trends. But absolutely, there are disadvantages. So, there's drawbacks, including potential biases from historical data, the risk of losing human touch in decision making, concerns about data privacy, and limitations.
I think those are the biggest fears that we hear: the data privacy.
Yeah. Anyway. Absolutely, right. So it's really important to to understand that, and I think there could be an overall reliance too, maybe on keyword matching, dependency on outdated data that could impact candidate selection. So it really is striking that balance between AI and human expertise. That's critical, right, to address these issues responsibly and ensure a fair and effective recruitment process.
Janelle or Chase, I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. Whoever wants to go first, just battle it out.
I can pop in there. No, I'm glad you called it out, Heather. I do think that it does probably level the playing field, AI and some of the capabilities. I did want to call out what we are kind of leaning on AI for currently. And it's generally job description writing. As one of the largest healthcare staffing companies, we have a lot of jobs that are opening and closing every single day. So using that to kind of generate different job descriptions for the hundreds of different new openings that we are enlisting every single day. That's a huge advantage that we are tapping into. I think it also, Heather touched on this a little bit, helps with a little bit of the candidate lead to placement journey as far as administrative roadblocks. I think AI can really, we're just at the forefront of deploying this for our own organization, but basically getting someone credentialed, getting someone through licensing, all that fun stuff that did take a little bit of hand-holding historically. I think AI has been relatively beneficial in helping with that.
It'll continue to be so. I can see it in this year. I bet it's just going to enhance continually. Yeah. Big
time. Yeah, you got it. I think additionally, as far as disadvantages, I think that there's some bias that is definitely being introduced if we're leaning on AI for surfacing the top candidates. That seems to be a challenge that we can't seem to overcome thus far. But to your point, Allison, I think it could make some inroads in 2024.
Yeah. Be interesting to see. It came so far in 2023. I came back from maternity leave in January, and then it was like boom, nonstop AI. So excited to see what 2024 will hold. Hey, Janelle.
Going on what you were just saying, Allison, it is all of a sudden, I don't know, every webinar, every conference I went to last year was AI. And then a lot of times now our healthcare staffing agencies are trying to define what that means.
Right.
It's similar to when you have someone in the C-suite comes up to you and goes, so about our tech stack, what does that mean exactly? Do you mean you just want a better laptop, or, what do you do that one? So I believe this is now the time to really embrace. I guess I like walking into people when it comes to meetings or talking with them, go, tell me about the disadvantages first. What are your barriers? Let's tackle that, because a lot of people are coming from a place where there is a reason for that. So they're, especially our recruiters. Recruiters are used to always being in the know and the control of what their clinicians are asking for, what messages they're getting. You're representing a brand, not only your company's brand, but also the recruiting brand. So to be able to then go back and say, okay, now we're making everything automated. If you start off that statement with a recruiter, it's going to get scary and you're going to right away hit resistance. So what we have found too is first, like talking with our recruiters or anybody at the company and going, first, what is it? Let's break down what exactly seems uncertain or scary. Some people have said, just, try YouTube first. Go on YouTube, get some examples or ideas and build that comfort zone. If you're someone who's using Siri to help you tell the time or whatnot, okay, you've already got a toe in AI, I promise you. But you can start off small, and we're using automated processes and AI to even just help with anything that's repetitive. If you are a recruiter who is doing something again and again, that is how AI is going to first help you, is be your admin assistant, so that you can focus on your strengths of building that relationship and helping someone with their career, helping someone with their lifestyle. So here at Premier, we're using AI and automated processes at first to data cleanup. Those things you keep forgetting about, especially around tax time, of, is that your current address? Where are you right now? So data cleanup, also to even it is the job alerts. People can go on and sign up and get that automated. You can even use chatbots in a different way now to help get that information of, okay, what is it you're looking for? What is your specialty? What do you have licenses? To build enough of that data foundation so that then recruiters can come back in and add that human element back on to have that conversation to build it. So that's where we're starting off with, and that's where we're working with people who may be hesitant or say, tell me more about this. And that's what it comes down to. It's just we need more information. But I loved what Heather was saying as far as also to it's the data security. And that is everything that we had. I mean, there was a big push, remember, when it came to even something as simple as multi-factor authentication. How do you protect your data, especially in a healthcare environment? Right. So I do appreciate always hearing people go, before I go 5 steps running, am I also having partners with me to make sure I'm in that compliance so that we're not trying to catch up with ourselves? So you can do it, just do it smartly, for sure.
Janelle touched on it, but there's definitely the hesitancy aspect, right, for recruiters. So Heather and then Chase, I'd love just like a 30-second answer. But what would you say to the recruiters who have yet to work with AI, who are hesitant to do so? What would you say to them to maybe give them that push or that little bit of encouragement?
I'm going to borrow a quote from Rohan Jacob. He's the CEO of Active Staff, and he shared some words of wisdom in the report. You might have seen it released by SIA in October about AI, but he said, in the past, it's been acceptable to say, I don't want to use this tool because I've done it my way forever and it's worked. That's going to be very destructive and counterproductive this time, is what he said. And, I'm uncertain if the delayed reaction to recent AI capabilities is due to maybe AI not being new. It was 25 years ago when, you guys probably remember the old IBM computers, right? Came pre-installed with Solitaire, Minesweeper, right? Am I dating myself? Chess, right? And remember, you had the option, no, seriously, to play against the computer. And it was like this pivotal moment in 1997 when a world chess champion was defeated by a computer, right? And that was one of my earliest memories of artificial intelligence first surpassing human intelligence.
Wow.
But the current developments in generative AI, way beyond winning chess games, right? They're set to revolutionize how we live and work. So it's a paradigm shift that will reshape the future. So embracing that generative AI it's not just a choice, but really a necessity for individuals and companies seeking to stay relevant in the evolving landscape.
Yeah, the relevancy is huge right now, especially as the years continue on. Yeah. Chase, what do you have?
Yeah, I would piggyback on that and just say that it feels to me like we are in the age of when the internet was just getting kicked off as it relates to AI. And I think that the future is so unknown, but if you can dabble and if you can play with it, carve out some time for recruiters and just figure out what sort of questions you have and what capabilities AI has to solve that. I think it's a trial and error type of thing. And if you don't spend time in it or you're scared to play in it, you're not going to progress. But the folks who do have some time I don't even want to say time. I want to say like the curiosity to explore it. I think it will actually pay off.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Well, I know we talk about AI a lot, but I thank you guys for touching on that. I'd like to move into more of like the social media aspect and how you guys believe, is social media an effective way to fill assignments, especially in this coming year, 2024? And then what are your thoughts and even suggestions about SMS campaigns as well as social media? Not sure who wants to hit that first.
Here, I'll jump on it first.
Okay.
So first off, let me start off with social media. So social media, definitely, I think it depends on your audience, your comfort zone, and also your intent. If you're going to social media right away to say, I'm just going to start posting about jobs, you are joining 50 million Facebook groups and hoping that's going to have the most positive, productive interaction. May want to take a step back on that. I definitely think that social media is there to help you with placements, but also it's depending on the platform and your intent, it depends on what you want to get out of it, and you may not always have it. If you're just going in there again just for the placements, but also going in there to learn, you may be learning it not only from your competitors, but learning from what other clinicians are liking and engaging with. Social media, creates that veil where we, kind of get a little bit stronger. We may turn into someone else. So you may see some passionate people out there. We can think of those groups, those social media groups where they have a voice, and that is their platform to say to do that too. But social media is there to create kind of like a passive way for people to also get to know your brand. Yeah. And so working with, your marketing team or working with some mentors to figure out how you can build your brand and also your company brand on social media would be huge. So that way you can showcase culture, showcase tips. But even again, if you're not sure what to do or if it's been a while and how to really approach it, because especially in certain platforms or certain types of specialties, you really have to be cognizant of what you're doing, because you're going to come in, if you come in aggressive, if you come in with no knowledge, you're going to see it right away and your clinicians will be like, oh, never mind, not you. It's competitive out there. So start with social media even just to learn But also too, it doesn't always have to be about jobs. It's the same thing when it comes to your SMS campaigns.
Right.
If that's the only thing you're using for is to text blast 100 clinicians each day of be like, hi, I saw your resume. My name is Janelle. Would you like a job? Are you still an RN in Texas? I don't know who's going to answer you anymore.
Yeah. There's
So
no personalization really to that anymore.
There isn't. And that's where I'm hoping, and it is hard. It is incredibly hard for companies to even be better with their data, to have that good data in there so that you can personalize it, make it meaningful, make it intent. An SMS campaign, even if it's only 5 clinicians, but if it's the most individualized, purposeful campaign with those 5, you're going to get a better return than trying to do 100. So hopefully use resources. And that's where we're going back to sites, marketing team, even to that's where we were talking about before about using with AI, just to even create that foundation where you're, instead of staring out a window and go, what do I say? Where do I start? And we're very fortunate too, there are platforms out there. So for SMS campaigns, if you're using, let's say like a Sense or a Text Us or anything like that, they even have templates to start. Then you can go in and personalize it to your brand, your own personal recruiting brand or your company brand. So it can be meaningful. But yeah, you can use it in both ways. It's just going in there, maybe just kind of know why. And if you're not sure on your why, or if it's been a while and what to do, I would say find a mentor or even go in just to watch first to create some best practices.
And I think it's important to note that social media and the SMS campaigns can be used together, right? So the curiosity part with the social media, you can apply that into the personalization aspects into the SMS. I think that's something that often gets overlooked, which rightfully so. You know, we have a lot of things going on. But great, thanks. Chase, do you have any insight on this, or Heather?
Yeah, I would say from a social media perspective, we see a lot more success on a person-to-person basis versus interacting with a brand. And so I think that's one piece there. And then from the text us or from the, I guess, SMS campaigns, we have seen a little bit of friction, I guess I will say, in terms of what marketing wants to say and promote versus recruiters want to reach out individually or in kind of a batch offering type of thing. So really like overhitting that candidate, I would say has been a bit of a challenge or something to be mindful of.
Right. Great. Janelle, you kind of touched on the data aspect. How would you suggest that recruiters use data to fuel their outreach strategy for, maximum effectiveness this year and the future years?
Oh, absolutely. Right now, especially since we saw a shift, and we're going to continue seeing that shift. Now in February, even Google and Yahoo are going to keep adding more barriers when it comes to email. And then we saw a shift last year, even too, with some of our T-Mobile, Verizon, all that as far as creating them. So from a consumer side, I'm like, yay, thanks for protecting me. From a staffing and from marketing, you're like, okay, no, we really do need to be intentional. How are we going to do this? So data now is more than just what is their certification, what is their specialty, where do they want to work. It's really important, and hopefully you have an ATS, a CRM. I don't know, heck, at this time, depending on what you're doing, a good Excel spreadsheet, whatever you got to start with, to be able to use that data so that you really are knowing as far as where is it they exactly want to be traveling. As we're seeing more and more systems even put into place stricter, the radius rules and all different types of barriers for healthcare staffing, that's where you really try to figure out how to build that relationships with the clinicians. So if you can use your database, again, whether it's the ATS or CRM, to go beyond more than what is there when their license is expiring, to be able to know even what the contract is, what is the likes, what are they really looking at, what are their top things that are driving them, just to start that conversation. And then you can really start personalizing it again with your outreach to say, okay, this is where we found you, this is what we talked about, so you're looking at, tell me more. Tell me why you're looking at this and doing that. And again, if you have those data variables in those platforms, and hopefully those platforms then talk with what you're using for email, text campaigns, social media posts, you can at least somewhat keep track of how to start with that personalization, just to open the conversation. But then from there, you're using your own data as you're having that one-on-one conversation to take notes and follow up on it. But then if someone would love it if you remember their dog's name.
Yeah.
appreciate it to help you stand out more, because it is a competitive landscape now. It's more about being real and transparent and being upfront as far as the expectations. And people, I shouldn't say everyone, but many people don't mind if you're making me part of an email or text. It's because I opted in and I know you're fitting it to what I want. If that's what you're doing, send it my way, but then I hope that I still get a human in those key milestones. When it's really a lot and it's like, this is overwhelming. You just sent me long texts, kind of like when you have someone who's telling you a story. Why didn't you just call me? Or how do you fit my schedule? You know I'm sleeping right now. Why are you trying to text me?
The one-on-one aspect is huge. I was actually just talking to somebody recently at our company about, we got an email and it was very personalized. And we were like, I opened it after hours, because of that personalization aspect.
Yeah. And it is. And especially with healthcare, we know they have, healthcare has different shifts and different hours and different things and needs. And sometimes they don't tell you and they do. And, you just got to know what they're after. If a clinician is after the pay, or they're after this type of location, write it down, make your life easier to go from there. So I guess that's where I would start. And again, it's a lot. Our recruiters have so much on their plate to be able to remember this, and this, especially if you are a full cycle with recruiting. If you're, not part of an agency where you got these other partners to work with you on. So it does get a lot. So trying to figure out what is the important data. And again, maybe if there is something that you're missing that could be crucial, like, man, if I just remembered their birthday and I had someone who helped me send out a card, sounds like maybe if you can get something where you can work with marketing to have it make it sound like your personalized happy birthday message, and then you're using a program like Handwritten where they mail out the card for you, but it's your writing, your thing, your brand, your own personal brand. That's a start. That's one less thing you have to worry about. So
it's great. Thanks, Janelle. Chase, do you have any insight there?
Yeah, I'm going to piggyback again off of what Janelle is saying. I think the data portion is, I don't want to say the easy portion, but there's repositories of candidate information all over the place. Definitive, US Health News. You can kind of find specialties and preferences and things like that. I think that personal touch is really what's going to set people apart. We're talking about careers and jobs, right? I don't think that you can automate that from an AI perspective. I think that has to be that personalization as well. So that's, you set the stage really well, Janelle.
Heather, I know you were a recruiter a while ago. Do you have any tips on this?
Yeah, the personalization, I think, is everything. I think, my recruiting days, Janelle mentioned, write things down. I was doing that, and then file cabinets, right? all of that. Yeah. So I would encourage, there's so much opportunity to streamline that with, like we have birthday in a field, and to have those personalized, messages go out. So I think thinking strategically too of what is it that you want to accomplish, and using as much infrastructure as possible so you can help to get it done, and also have the personalization around it.
Great. Heather, we can start with you on this question if you're okay with that. But as we enter in 2024, are there any technology advancements you guys are watching, and even beyond that will improve the travel healthcare space?
So I'll keep in my, kind of, you mentioned technology already, so I can keep in with that tech space, I suppose. Looking ahead to 2024, there is a powerful healthcare tech story unfolding that is focused on reducing costly hospital return trips. So there are 3.8 million 30-day readmissions that cost us, or the U.S., over $52 billion annually. So I think, the urgency for innovative solutions is very much needed. So, picture this, kind of this heartwarming scene. All right, a hospital in England, they used, not sure if anyone's you guys have heard this story yet, but they used ChatGPT to transform complex discharge instructions into a vibrant coloring book for a child with pediatric asthma.
Wow.
AI even created the pictures. Yeah. So, and then, they handed it to the child and said, hey, little buddy, here are your discharge instructions, but check it out. It's a coloring book.
Oh, wow.
So now the child, along with the parents and doctors and nurses, they can explore it together, understanding why they need meds and blood checks and why they need to stick to that personalized care plan. So, but this just isn't about instructions. It's about creating connections, and that healthcare staff can now bond with the child and have confidence that post-hospital care instructions will be followed. And imagine that ripple effect, not just on reducing readmissions, again, $52 billion a year on readmissions, but just transforming the entire patient experience. So, it's stories like these that remind us that positive impact technology can really have on people's lives.
That's great. Really, just a quick pause here. Shawn, welcome. I'm so sorry you had technical difficulties there.
Yeah. I'm
if
glad to join, and appreciate Chase for covering.
Do you want to do a quick introduction for everybody that's on?
Yeah, I'm Shawn Lamar. I've been with CHG Healthcare for coming up on 20 years. So I've been in digital marketing the entire time and seen a lot of changes from where we were 20 years. Some of the foundation stuff is still the same that we do, but then with technology changing, there's a lot of differences. And I invited Chase to join because he is on the marketing team, does a little bit different types of marketing than what I do. I thought he'd be able to add some insight as well.
Yeah, I love everybody's value here. It's really great. Shawn, the question that we were talking about now is if there are any technology advancements that we're watching in 2024 and beyond that will improve the travel healthcare space. So I don't know if you have anything that you want to add to this, but
it's not necessarily an advancement, but I think, have you guys talked about pay rate?
No, not yet.
Yeah.
But go ahead, start it.
Yeah, that's one of the things that we know that there's certain states and cities that have legislation about pay transparency, and I think that's probably going to continue as time goes on, and that's one thing. So we have that in our job postings that we put out there for where it's required. And we're also looking at how does that seem to deter candidates from applying, or does it increase? And jury's still out on that. We don't really have any solid data because it's been fairly recent that we've started doing that. The other thing too is it's not really technology advancements, but as things change though, I think reading and being aware of different legislation or things that are coming, kind of get you as a recruiter salesperson, get your mind in the space of like what would the candidate not necessarily know that you could know, and be an advocate for the prospective candidates to provide more value to them rather than just placing them in a job, but different things that might be coming up depending on their specialty and the different landscape as things change. I know one of the things that is out there is possible state licensing. There could be more of a compact between different states, so things like that. Yeah.
Great. Janelle or Chase, do you have anything to add?
I'll hop in. Two things that we are watching. So one, when I was at the SIA Healthcare Summit back in November, there was a couple speakers who mentioned how what they're doing is they're using different types of technology platforms to help them with data analysis, but in a way to differentiate themselves when it comes to working with clients, whether it's direct or VMS. And what they're doing is they're looking at their own data. So like, for instance, Premier, we've been around for more than 20 years. So we got some data, I know there's something in their database. So how do you...
Gotta be somewhere.
It's somewhere in there, data cleaning, things like that. So with that being said, though, being able to work with some of our longstanding partners and say, here's the data trends we've noticed by working with you or working with others like you, to add that personalization. Because yes, everyone can get their own market analysis and it's out there, use that. Yeah. But to have another channel too, where we said, hey, based on working with you or other people because of in your market, we've noticed that there's a trend based on what happens on third shift or on your floor in your unit. We noticed when it happens in this month, to show that we are paying attention and what we've been using, working with them or others like them. So that was really interesting. I loved hearing about that. And of course, just went up to a couple of them and go, we should network. I want to know more about what you're using, how to use
Yeah.
that data more intentionally. The other thing too that I'm watching is that if you remember during the height of the pandemic, we had more so the hospital systems were almost using tactics to tell their patients, don't come to us unless it's absolutely necessary, because they were trying to decrease the spread. They were trying to also help so that it wasn't overflowing with patients, just because of shortage, things like that. Now hospital systems had to switch that and say, wait a minute, we miss you, come back. But a lot of people now have set in their mindset still, even though it's now 2024, of like, when do I need you? So yes, we've seen the increase of telehealth, but what they've had to shift in healthcare marketing is trying to do a mix of, I like to say, like, it's science and human. So being able to say, here's the data, here's the science on why it's good to do checkups, why it's good to come back to us. So because of that, obviously they need patients, so then for the staff, they need staff for the patients. And if they have all that, then they need someone to help them fill those placements, and that's where we come into play. So watching how they're using that technology, because that's similar to what we can do in healthcare staffing, where it was, yes, there's things that we build so you can do this on your own. You can search for your job, you can get the job alerts, you can manage your credentials, your documents, all that you can do, especially if you're working different shifts. You're working at night, I'm sleeping, hopefully that vice versa. But again, I also want to make sure you have that human approach, or also that other data to support how we get you to your next step. So watching those two things, as far as like how to use data analysis differently, to be able to work better with our clients and even our clinicians as well. Like, hey, just let you know, based on history, and whatever it is, because every year and every month is a new normal. Here's what I'm thinking is going to happen. But two, how are you using technology to do a mix of that science, that data, and still adding the human touch to it?
Yeah, if anybody has any questions, please feel free to chime in. I think a lot has happened since 2020, right? Even though it was 4 years ago, it feels much more recent than that. But looking ahead, where do you guys see travel healthcare in the next 5 years? I'd love to hear from all of you if you have something insightful to share. Whoever wants to go first. Another battle it out moment.
I'll jump in.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Heather.
Sure. So I guess, looking ahead to the next 5 years in healthcare, definitely see a significant impact driven by advancements in technology. I think about Epic, right? It's the leading electronic health records platform. I believe they have, about 40% market share in the EHR space, but, they've recently partnered with Microsoft, to integrate AI. And it's live. It's live at UC San Diego Health, UW Health, Stanford Healthcare. There's 30 other sites, and the initial outcomes have been promising with reported time savings and increased documentation quality. So one site, they observed 76% reduction in doctors' time spent in after clinical hours, and another reported over 60% of users experience improved documentation quality. So, this sort of shift, I think it addresses burnout concerns where, we hear all the time, administrative tasks and paperwork are major contributors to that burnout. So other EHR players like Cerner, they have begun integrating generative AI voice tech to automate medical note taking. Harvard and McKinsey released a report stating that the widespread adoption of AI in healthcare could save the US up to $360 billion annually. So, not only do we have the potential to reverse burnout, but also generate substantial savings for health systems. And, I think this is very encouraging news for the healthcare, industry, clinicians, and patient care for the next 5 years and beyond.
It's exciting.
This could be some wishful thinking, but I'm thinking that there is going to be a lot more presence of gig work versus full-time employment. I think with the aging physician population, that seems to be a trend that we are seeing. I also think lower acuity professions, advanced practice, will probably fill a lot of the roles of some of the physician jobs that are going to be left vacant. Shawn, I don't know if there's anything else you would tack on from the CHG perspective.
Yeah, from the CHG perspective, definitely those. I also know that there's different, there's legislation with the pay transparency thing, but there's also some non-compete stuff going on. And if that could change and allow doctors to be able to move more freely. And I think we've seen it with the COVID and working from home and the flexibility that other workers like us have. I think some of the physician and the healthcare providers are looking at that too, and may not want to do the full-time thing and doing more of a gig, more of the travel locum type of assignments.
Yeah, I believe it was an SIA report that came out that saying locum is really going to increase here this coming year. It's interesting seeing that trend happen.
Yeah.
Janelle, I'd love to hear what you had to say.
Make sure I don't repeat anything with my colleagues. Rory said, so we're still seeing I think overall, if you're looking at travel nursing, with that being a decline right now, and because of different things, now we're seeing increased local. We have certain clients who, of course, are putting in they're either trying to do their own in-house, or they've had the in-house, and now they're trying to do that differently with the travelers, or there's, again, the radius rules and different types of stipulations. So now agencies are having to be creative as far as how do you get someone who's local, again, trying to talk about the compact licenses, but also too with traveling itself. I mean, that's gotten harder because of inflation. The cost of, whether you're doing it on your own, or if you're experienced or not experienced, trying to handle all of those costs. And again, trying to go from something where you were used to these type of rates a few years ago, and now it's these rates, but there's still different rates than before, and how that gets all set. So I think we're still trying to level it out. I know for us right now, there's definitely been more of a focus. Like you said, there's the locum tenens, there's more of the advanced practice stuff, more of the allied, trying to shift when it is not as much with travel nursing. We're still seeing short staffed, unfortunately, just all across, whether you're coming from the agency perspective or the consumer perspective, just trying to schedule an appointment right now, booking 6 months out and only on Tuesdays, things of that nature. So right. So you're trying to figure out creative ways to get it there. And so, again, I think there's an advantage for us when it comes to getting to know the clinician, personalization, having that flexible schedule, being able to educate and be transparent. So yes, we've been talking about transparency and rates, but also transparency as far as here's everything you need to bring to the table. This is how it's going to look, what it's going to look. This is how you're going to be successful. This is how it is working with me as a recruiter. Do we have the same culture, the same goals, lifestyle that's going to work with what you need for that career step? Because it could be exciting and also a stressor at the same time. But big thing is trying to figure out clinicians want things better and faster as far as when it comes to looking for stuff when working with the contract staffing. So if you can do that in the front end for them, here's what it is working with us. Here's what we offer you. Here's how you can get to your jobs. You do everything in the front end you can. If not, I have someone here to help you out if that's not your comfort zone, or you're not even available to do that. Again, there's still people who don't have good reception or still not on smartphones. So being able to help them out with that, but working with different partners where you can, and figuring out what are your strategies and goals. You can't be everything to everyone. So start there. And then I think from there you can keep building on the strengths just to get through it. So 5 years is a very long time and also a very short time.
All right. It's like I said, 2020 felt so recent, but really it was 4 years ago. It's closer to 5 years then. It's wild. Thanks, Janelle. So as we end here, I would love just a little snippet from each of you of what you would say to recruiters going into this new year. 2023 was certainly a more challenging year for a lot of recruiters in the healthcare space. What would you say to them as they enter this new year, 2024?
It's from the marketing perspective, I would say, definitely look at what's worked and try to replicate some of that, but not just get in. I know sometimes and we're guilty of this at CHG. Sometimes, you see a campaign that we got X results from Y input, so let's just do more Y input to get more of the X results.
Yeah.
But if we're a little more surgical on it, like figuring out like, well, why did it really work? Like what if that, and not just look at a lead as a lead as a lead, like numbers, might look nice on the chart, but they may be duplicates, or maybe they're people that aren't authorized to work in the US. So you may not be able to, if you don't have, J1 visa sponsorship for that, you can't place them. And look at like also what isn't working and why. I did an analysis a while back on some of our jobs that didn't get any leads, and try to figure out like, well, why did those not get leads, and look at the ones that are getting leads, and what is, try to figure out a little bit more of why we think that certain things are working, things aren't, and then test that out a little bit more. Maybe do something a little different than we've done in the past. I like to do different trials with different vendors, with different, and not just job postings. That's my world is doing our job feeds. But there's a lot of things out there. And I think it's just getting back into the mind of like, what does the physician want to know? Of course, we know we want them to work with our company and place them in a position. But what do they need? You get in the mind of like, what do they really want? What value can we bring to the provider out there, and make ourselves more valuable to them, which would then eventually build that relationship and lead to a placement.
That's great. That's great. Chase or Heather, if you would like to. No pressure if not.
Yeah, I can pop in and just, again, Janelle touched on this earlier in the call, but what can data, be mindful of what data can solve versus what you as a recruiter can solve. You can't lean on any sort of AI to tell you what your candidate's dog's name is, right? That's a piece of information that you're going to have to go out and find for yourself. And I think that is important and special to a candidate.
Social media.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I guess you could lean on that, right? But yeah, that was the only other thing I wanted to hop on.
Thanks, Chase.
Sure.
Yeah, I would just love to add that, keep in mind that the healthcare staffing market is expected to be $54 billion in 2024, and that's almost 3 times the market size than what it was in 2019. Yeah, in 2019 it was just shy of 19, and calling out travel nursing specifically, for example, 2024 is expected to be 28 billion, and it was 6.5 in 2019. So that's more than 4 times the market share opportunity than just 5 years earlier. So I think a lot of recruiters may have gotten into the industry during COVID, and COVID was a whole just different time, right? So, but when you look, kind of historically, there's actually, massive, upside, even though, yes, of course, going from, like Janelle mentioned, the reduction from, 2021, 22 to 23, yes, and that had to happen to sustain, the U.S. health systems, right? But it's still, just from a travel and obviously, locum tenens really being on the rise too. It is a very exciting time, to be in the industry.
That's great to hear. We did have a question come in. Heather, this might be a great question for you, and if anybody else has any insight, please chime in. But Zach asked, as massive data cleanup is a required step for AI implementation, please discuss some lessons learned on what preparations must be made to AI to implement at scale.
Yeah, so I'm so sorry. I was just reading Janelle's question in the comment because I thought the question was, say that one more time.
Yeah, it's actually the question wasn't.
No, that's just me just saying after you said what the
I only
projected.
need a little piece of the pie, and I
just need a piece to do that one. I am happy to share with everyone else on this call who attended today. That's all.
There's enough for us all to eat.
Nope, I'm not that way.
Talking about the first step of implementation, or one more
Here,
time?
I'll copy it and put it in the chat.
Okay.
Just in case. There you go. This is from Zach.
Still can't see it. Here it is. Here it is.
Oh, great.
I'm clicking on the wrong thing. As massive data cleanup is required for hard step for AI. Please discuss them. Oh my gosh, this is such a good one. Thank you, Zach, for asking this. I think it's so critical. And I think Janelle mentioned Sense and various automation tools. There's there's a lot of different automation tools that are out there. I think that's an important piece, just to first look at the structure. Probably there's historical data and things that date back maybe even prior to new fields being created or new processes being created for coding things or tagging things accordingly, and that's going to hurt you, right? In marketing and outreach, and certainly in AI. So I think first, where's that low hanging fruit? Maybe using automation to to structure, and then really working with your teams too, and bringing them in along with the what's in it for you, and knowing that with that data hygiene, and nobody loves doing that. I can speak personally, from my days in recruitment. Like I think somebody said like what. You need to know your name of your dog. You can't do that with AI. Well, I mean, maybe actually if we created the fields and that became part of our, maybe we actually can, right? But it starts with, not just write it down on pen and paper, but it's how does that transfer, and how do you get that, into your database? And I think it's thinking strategically too into what is the end game, because there might be, kind of those fields that don't exist today. Don't delay 5 years from putting them in. You'll be kicking yourself, right? Like get them in now, figure out again, what automations then can be utilized to, code accordingly. And then what can you do, just as the ongoing processes to really set yourself up for success.
That's great. That's great, Heather.
I would agree with Heather too. Like what you just said, Heather, about figuring out how to set it up. Look for future. We don't know what the future is going to be like, but I know I've worked with a lot of data, and sometimes the data set is too narrow, or we build something and we don't anticipate like how can we use this data to be useful in 5 years, because we might have a new field or something different or something that's changed. And sometimes we have to go back and do a lot of data cleanup, and it can be a mess. So I think trying to anticipate what you believe you'll need in the future for that data, because data cleanup can be big. I mean, we've got a lot of data where different email addresses, it's the same provider, but we can't just key off email address because we might have a record from 3 years ago, or maybe they all of us I think have more than we have Gmail account or several Gmail accounts or work account. So it is challenging, but I totally agree. Think about what you may need in the future, not to overbuild, but allow for some integration down the road to make the efforts you're doing now more useful.
Well, thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate it. It looks like somebody might be typing a question, so I'm just going to keep an eye out there. But, really appreciate you guys' time for joining and taking time out of your busy day. Some of us with kids at home because of weather, but really appreciate everyone, Janelle, Heather, Shawn, Chase, and unfortunately Chloe couldn't be here. Somebody had said we created a neutral network taxonomy so that as new values are added in healthcare, our neural network can think about where these values go or if they need to be added. That's how we are using AI. That's great. Thanks, Rebecca. Well, again, thank you guys so much. Really appreciate you being here. If anybody has any questions, please reach out to us. If anybody has any questions for our panelists specifically, reach out to me and I'll get you in touch with them. Again, thank you guys. Stay warm or enjoy the warmth. Chase, Shawn, I'm not sure where you are, but Chase is in Vegas. So
so not warm, but definitely not like East Coast folks.
Yeah, we're here. We're good. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Have a great
Thank you all. Great meeting you all.
Thank you.
You too.
Cheers.
Bye.
See you guys.